Hello everyone, welcome to the London Resort Source. This is episode 15 and it's been a bit of a while since we last uploaded a video, but we thought what we'd like to do is just give you sort of an update really of what's happened in the last few months. We apologise for not uploading any content recently. I suppose the reason being is that things have been a bit slow with the London Resort, but hopefully things are going to pick up eventually, but we knew this would be a bit of a slow process anyway. So
yeah, we did experiment with a couple other formats, but other than just like churning out constant speculation videos of, you know, which top 5 trees would I like to see at the London Resort, there isn't really too much you can do when the only news unfortunately recently has been kind of a bit negative.
Yeah, I agree. I think things have been a bit bleak recently in the last few months regarding the London Resort. We haven't really heard any good news, but hopefully in the future we'll be hearing more about hopefully the theme lands, I suppose, and hopefully some more positive outcome on this SSSI status. But of course, in this video, we're going to go through and outline basically what's happened in the last few months. And yes, we hope you enjoy the video.
And please remember, if you enjoy the video, remember to like and subscribe to our channel. We've just hit 400 subscribers, so thank you very much to everyone that's done so far. And then also, we will be uploading new content in the future, so remember to also hit that notification bell so that you never miss any of the new content that we do. We also, when there is breaking news, we'll often go live, and so if you do the notification bell, you'll get an opportunity to set a reminder for that, so we can all join in the discussion together. And let's now jump into this video. So first things first, Steve, the question we often get from our subscribers: is the London Resort still going ahead?
Yes.
And why do you say that?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm being a little bit sarky there, but I think at the moment there's a bit of uncertainty because of a few things that have happened lately in the last few months. And I think it's basically to do with this SSSI status. And of course, Merlin have also written to the Planning Inspectorate as well about, for their plans they think the London Resort should withdraw their plans. And also we know about the Bug Life and RSPA and Natural England. I mean, all these have sort of rejected the plans. So of course, I'm just still being positive in my mind because of course I want this theme park to go ahead. And I think the London Resort have put together a good amount of documents and outlined, you know, a lot of plans, as well as how they're going to conserve the wildlife within the area as well. So I'm being optimistic about it, but of course there are some doubts as well.
Yeah, obviously it's been very frustrating few months. We were hoping to have the first sort of public meeting about this happening in September, and it looks like that's going to be pushed back. But I think, I do think that we're going to be struggling to see an opening date for 2024. I'm very much doubt we will make that now. But I do think that eventually it will happen, come a hook or crook, as they say. Just because, I mean, I've said in other videos, there's clearly a very, very strong desire from government to get this through. It's the first ever project that isn't an infrastructure project that's been given special status, planning status by the government, meaning that it completely bypasses local planning laws and is instead decided on by the National Planning Inspectorate. And that tells me that really the government kind of want this to happen. And it's going to have to be quite something special that frustrates it. And I'm not sure that the determination of the special site status is enough. But let's jump into it now and have a look and see if we can demystify some of the news reports that have been going around. So as you can see here, handily labelled Team Bearded Tit, which is the team that are essentially trying to stop the project, and Team Jabot, which is the team, including the London Resort Company, who are trying to get the project done. And in the middle here, we have the sort of arbiters of fate, who are the government bodies that are in charge of, well, Natural England are in charge of deciding whether the site is special scientific interest. And the Planning Inspectorate is, like I just mentioned, the body that will decide ultimately whether this goes ahead. So let's first go over to Team Bearded Tit. So, Steve, for those of us that aren't necessarily huge theme park enthusiasts and maybe don't know what's happened, who are Merlin Entertainments, and what exactly how have they got involved in this whole discussion?
Well, I think Merlin Entertainments are obviously they're like one of the biggest leisure and entertainment companies really in the world. Like, I think they're second behind Disney, and they operate a lot of different attractions and theme parks around sort of Europe and the world. They own, I'd say, a good monopoly of the theme parks in the UK. A fair share of them. They own Thorpe Park, Alton Towers, Chessington, but they also operate Sea Life as well as Manitou Swords. So they're a big firm, basically, a big company. And I think the reason they have got involved in this is because effectively they probably do see it as a bit of a threat. And I think you could look at it in a certain perspective that it's probably in their best interests to actually sort of protect their identity a little bit. So of course they would have, I think, issues with the London Resort because it's going to be competition for them here in the UK. So
yeah, I mean, it is a pretty unfortunate monopoly that Merlin have over theme parks in the UK. We actually want there to be some healthy competition, and we don't want Merlin just rebranding Nemesis Inferno Love Island or whatever, and that's that being the only thing that we get.
I think it would be healthy for the economy as well as like the theme parks that Merlin own, because it'll bring visitors from abroad as well, and there is a chance that they would visit Legoland, I would say, or maybe Thorpe Park, who are in the same sort of vicinity. So, and also I think competition is healthy, and I think it will be overall really positive for the country.
Yeah. And so the way they're involved, just so that people are aware, is that Bug Life, who are a conservation charity, they have complained to Natural England about the wildlife present on the site in Swanscombe. And you know what? Wildlife is important, and it is important that it's protected. But what the argument is for Merlin to get involved is a bit dodgy, really. They clearly are not in it for the bearded tits, are they? They're just in it for lining their own pockets. So it's a pretty cynical move, I think, from Merlin.
Yeah, I think it is. I think at the end of the day, they don't really want to. I mean, it's not really associated with them in a way. I think they find the London Resort a bit of a threat, which is kind of the reason why they've outlined why they want the plans basically to be resubmitted. But the reality is that they don't want competition here in the UK.
So the situation we're in now is that Natural England have granted the whole of the Swanscombe Peninsula a site of special scientific interest, which means that the Planning Inspectorate have asked the London Resort to resubmit some of their plans with this in mind, basically showing how they're going to address the concerns of bug life and natural England in conserving wildlife. The problem is that Merlin have now piled in and are trying to get the London Resort to actually start the whole process over again. So I think what the London Resort are worried about is that this has now just become a way to frustrate the whole project and stop it, either like delay it so much that it doesn't become viable or completely stop it. So what have they done in retaliation, Steve?
Well, I think they've actually they want the plan. They've basically rejected the plans for the SSSI status, and of course, they think that the reason for this is because they think it's all just a way to kind of delay the plans, or maybe even not make the plans go ahead. But what they have done is they've asked for a 4-month delay as well to address these issues, and they're going to resubmit. They were saying they're going to resubmit about 203 documents and 2 new papers as a result of this new SSSI.
I think so. Basically, what London Resort are saying is that the SSI, it's hard to say, SSSI status currently covers the whole area of the peninsula, but actually, because that's a very blanket ruling, that shows that it's actually just a tool to sort of stop it from going ahead, because really the wildlife only exists in small pockets of that land, and if they only said small pockets were with the status, then it could be easily worked around with the plans. But because they've completely blanketed the whole peninsula with it, that makes it extremely difficult to work basically the conservation into the plans.
Now it's been given this status back in, I think it was May, wasn't it? That they now have to modify the plans even further. Of course, we don't know the extent of the plans that need to be modified, but
But I think this is exactly why now they've objected to the status entirely, because if that is granted and the objection's granted, then essentially they won't need to modify their plans any more than what they are at the moment.
Right.
So I think that their worry is that no matter what they do, as long as this SSSI status is in place, companies like Merlin will be able to use it as a way to frustrate the project going forward.
I think what came out recently is that the plans are set to continue. The Plans Inspectorate said the plans are set to continue regardless of Merlin trying to, take it off track, shall we say.
I mean, the most interesting, I think what's quite interesting in the recent development, because you can see we've got these 3 companies at the bottom here. So Lafarge Holcim, if that's how you pronounce it, and Anglo American are 2 companies that own they're the current owners of the land of the Swanscombe Peninsula where the London Resort will be built. So obviously the London Resort want to buy this land off of them. Another small owner of the land is Ebbsfleet Development Corporation, which is a housing corporation set up by the government to build 15,000 new homes around the Ebbsfleet area, and it includes a small portion of the land which the London Resort Company will buy. So the Lafarge Holcim and Anglo American have objected to the SSSI status across the whole peninsula, and Ebbsfleet Development Corporation have objected to it in the area where their land is. So this is quite interesting that they've kind of joined, they've thrown their hats into the ring and they've joined the fight now back against this SSSI status. And that's obviously quite a big deal because it just throws more weight onto London Resort's side.
Yeah, it's definitely a positive, I'd say. I think the reason they're probably on London Resort's side is because they're probably going to get a fairly good payout, I'd imagine, from the London resort, you know, because they currently occupy the land. As for the Ebbsfleet sort of development corporation, I suppose that it will be, it'll probably be good for them, I suppose, because, you know, with the London resort local, there's a chance that they could benefit from that. But it's good to see, you know, that there are other companies, I suppose, out there that are, you know, looking at it in a positive way.
So, Steve, what exactly can we expect next?
Well, I think next up we're going to find out whether this SSSI status will get overturned by Natural England, or whether it will actually go ahead and therefore London Resort will have to resubmit their documents to the Plan Inspectorate, which will probably take, I'd say, about 4 months or so. And hopefully we'll hear about this, I'd say, in the next couple of months, but we're actually unsure at the moment. All we've got to hope for is a positive outcome.
Yeah, so I mean, the London Resort formally objected the SSSI status on the 14th of July, so that's only a couple of weeks ago from when we're recording this. Natural England will probably take a while to decide. And then, yeah, either if it gets overturned, then I think that will speed things up a little bit because there won't need to be any rewriting of the plans. If it stays in place, then the best scenario is that the plans are rewritten and then those are accepted by the Planning Inspectorate. And then the next stage is for the public meeting to be held, where people will be able to actually go and have a public discussion about the whole project. And maybe we will actually be there.
We will indeed, yeah. We'll voice our opinion.
That brings us to the end of this video. Thanks for watching and for sticking with us. We will be, we promise, uploading more content when we get some more news, hopefully good news. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yes, we hope you enjoyed the video and found it very informative. And of course, please like, subscribe and comment. And we'd love to hear from you to see whether you think the London Resort is going to go ahead. And as always, see you soon, take care, and goodbye for now.
Goodbye.